And I also wanted to let you guys know that yesterday I did not do a small tech check, which was to look at the little placard that my husband had made of my email account. So actually my email account is really this. He made new ones. We had the wrong one yesterday, but my real email is pamrecruit87@gmail.com. He had left off the 87, and I didn't bother to check that. So my apologies to anyone who tried to email me at the wrong email address. So I wanted to get started about, first I want to thank Tina Price for putting this on. This is really about networking and about LinkedIn. I first met Tina Price in 1992 when she was working on Aladdin as a computer animator. And I wrote an article about her for a magazine called Careers in Colleges. Another job that I have is I'm a writer. So I do a lot of nonfiction writing, and that was one of the pitches I made to that magazine, and they wanted, so I got a chance to talk to her over the phone. I had actually never met her until a few days ago, or yesterday, when I got to see her via Zoom. So it's a small benefit of COVID is actually getting to meet people via Zoom. And so networking is about long-term mutually beneficial relationships. And COVID has impacted the ability for all of us to network in person. However, we do have a great tool for networking, and it is called LinkedIn. And it is an amazing tool. And I have a lot of notes about LinkedIn, so I'm going to try and get through those, and then I will give plenty of opportunity for people to ask questions, hopefully. I've also fielded a few questions from people who approached me after my talk yesterday, and I asked them what they wanted to know about LinkedIn, so I'm going to be addressing those as well. So one of the things about LinkedIn is that last year, about around this time, it had more than 645 million users, which makes it an amazing networking tool. One of the things to keep in mind about networking is that it's not about you, it's about the other person and how you can benefit them. And you need to show your passion and offer to help. So, can LinkedIn help you find a job? Yes. Yesterday in Nick Gregory's talk, he mentioned that he had received jobs at Disney and Imagineering and Cartoon Network through LinkedIn. I also have seen on some of my connections, they make a note that they got the job through LinkedIn. So it's very possible to learn about jobs and job opportunities through LinkedIn. One of the things I want to talk to you about first is avoiding some mistakes that people do make when networking online. And you need to keep in mind that networking is on LinkedIn, it's a professional network, which means that you don't post pictures of your dinner unless you are a professional chef. You shouldn't spam. Wait a week and after your initial contact before you contact people again. Don't use all caps, obviously, and don't ask to be connected with someone's connections unless you connect with them first. That's happened to me a lot, and it's really rude. Sort of like asking someone, to be introduced. I mean, you wouldn't do that in person, right? Unless you know the person. So one of the some of the things to do on LinkedIn that are positive is to customize your comments on someone's post. Don't just say nice post, but point out what you like about it. Connect with an explanation of why you want to connect or how you met. Like anybody who wants to connect with me, you can say you met me via Zoom on CTN-Live. And you want to stand out by being genuine, make your intentions clear from the start. You don't need to hide it. We all know what LinkedIn is for, so just get to the point. You need to respect people's time and keep your message short. Be quick about it. Also show that you're listening to them. You know, if you read someone's post, then you can comment on them, and find out what they're posting online before you connect with them. And be positive and upbeat, of course, and be proactive. What I mean by that is to reach out. Don't wait for someone else to approach you, but you can approach them. And make connections between people, just like if you were at a party, you know, a networking event. You know, you meet somebody and you know someone else who, like, let's say you meet a storyboard artist and you see another storyboard artist at that event. You can introduce the two storyboard artists together. You can do the same thing online. So make connections with people when you can. Make introductions. Share articles with people that you think they might like. You know, be a connector. One of the things about LinkedIn that's really great is that it's also a tool for branding. So even before you start, if you're not on LinkedIn yet, you need to get on there. But if you're already on there, also think about your brand. What do you want to be known for? LinkedIn can be a great tool for self-promotion. You want to build your profile. That's where your whole setup of what you're going to present to the world, right? So your professional headline, that line that's right underneath your name, think about what you want to be known for, what keywords are you going to use, and that line is very important. So be sure that it doesn't have to be short, but it has to be very precise of what you're looking for. Also, I have a friend of mine who does not connect with anybody who doesn't have a photo image or something. I mean, if you don't want to have a photo of yourself, have a caricature of yourself or some kind of drawing, some kind of image. Do not just leave that place blank. So you need to have a professional headshot done. You don't want to have it too dark. You want to have good lighting so people can see your face, and have it be as professional about it as you can. One of the other things that people really ignore is the background image that is, you have your photo, but then you also have the background image. You want to use that space. Have something that talks about what you do or has some kind of relationship to something about you. Maybe an images of your work, or something that you like. Some kind of background image is really important to do, and a lot of people don't use that space. So those two things are really important. You also, you can include your email address on your profile as well. Make it really easy for people to find you. You can also include your website, and on your profile summary, which is like the first part, let your personality come through. Use the keywords, but also make it short but interesting, very compelling. Sum up who you are and what you want, your info about your experience and your goals. Tell your story so that a recruiter can understand who you are and what you can do for their company. Mention that you're actively seeking work and name the type of jobs that you're interested in. So you come up in keyword searches. So you're looking for blank positions that combine my interest in blank with my love of blank, for example. Or for a person who's switching careers, you might say, what your position was with so many years experience at this company, looking to switch gears and join a company that does this. So you really want to optimize your profile with a great bio, include all your experience. There's no limit to the space in that experience part, so you can go into more depth than your resume. Scott and some others have asked about showcasing work on LinkedIn, and that you can have a featured section, and the art that you can include, it can include figure drawing or whatever. I'm connected to an artist named Paul Mellender, Mellender. He puts up his portfolio as a PDF on a Dropbox, but he also regularly posts fabulous images, and I really recommend people checking out Paul Mellender, Mellender. He's fantastic. And you can also write a post with your art and use hashtags, like just do a little tiny bit of explanation of the media, or the method that you used to create it or what it was for. Also post a link to your portfolio and your reel in that featured section. And you also can include hobbies in your LinkedIn profile. So because you're trying to make connections, you're trying to give people a way to connect with you. So a hobby, they might find that in common. That might be a reason why they connect with you. You don't need to know the persons that you connect with, but you also can make friends with people that you connect with on LinkedIn. For example, my husband, who's a screenwriter, has connected with another screenwriter in Australia, and they have become friends over LinkedIn. So it is possible to expand your network and make new friends via LinkedIn. One of the things that you might want to do is recommend people that you've worked with on their profiles. And then you can also ask other people that you've worked with for recommendations for your profile. Recommendations are a really big plus. We look at those as recruiters. And also you can, one of the things about LinkedIn that will help you move up in the search engines and stuff like that sometimes is if you make posts, you can post your work and get asked for comments on it. You can also comment on other people's works. You can share stories. You can share articles. There's all kinds of ways to leverage LinkedIn, and you can also participate in discussions in the groups. If you haven't explored groups yet, you'll want to use the search bar, and you can type in whatever keywords you want to think of, and there probably is a LinkedIn group with that keyword. So I think there's even special groups for storyboard artists. There's groups on 2D animation. There's all kinds of groups on LinkedIn. Women in Animation, as I mentioned yesterday, is a really great group also. So on your search, you want to be proactive as well. When you're looking for jobs, you can use the search tool to look for different companies, and you just type in the company name, and people in your network will come up with that company name. So if you want to recruit, if you want to work for, say, Titmouse Animation, you can type that in and see who comes up. We've already talked about you don't have to connect to just people that you've met. One of the things that you might search for is if you've gone to a certain university or college, that you can search for alumni that have that college mentioned. So you can connect with those people, or connect with people at companies that have the job that you want to do, and start having conversations with them. One of the questions that I was asked was when writing notes and emails to connect with people. And the things I said is to pretend that you're the receiver of the message. That makes it a little easier to compose the message if you pretend that you're the receiver. And when writing a note or an email to somebody, put your common interest in the subject line. Like we met at CTN Expo Live, or we both are storyboard artists, or whatever you want to say. but you want to keep your email short and compelling, and explain why you're reaching out. For example, I saw a storyboard opening at Blue Sky. I wanted to reach out and to a fellow slug. That's what see Santa Cruz. That's we're called slugs. I wanted to reach out to a fellow slug and ask you about what it's like to work at Blue Sky. That would be a sample, very short email, but brief and to the point, right? And then briefly explain why you would be an asset to the company. So writing notes on LinkedIn is similar to making a cover letter, right? You want to mention your personal connection first, and then really be brief and tell them exactly what you do, and have 1 or 2 career highlights, and for example, if you won an award at a film festival or whatever. By the way, if you're an award-winning person, I just had a coaching client, and I encouraged him to say award-winning visual effects supervisor, instead of just a visual effects supervisor. So this is not a place that you want to hold back. It's not bragging to put that you're an award-winning person. So if you won awards at film festivals, mention them. And then also, people were asking me about notes to recruiters. So here's an example of a note to a recruiter that you might write. Hi, Pamela, I'm a blank with experience in blank. We have so many connections in common, and I would like to connect with you directly. Please accept my invitation. Here's a link to my LinkedIn profile. I work on all kinds of projects, including this. If you should have an opportunity in those areas, I wanted you to be aware of me. I saw an article you posted about blank, or I saw you speak at CTN. Please keep me in mind, and I wish you continued success. I can reach that by phone at blank. Now, Forbes had an article about LinkedIn, and they said that you should end with a strong close, asking for time for a phone call, and giving a couple of time frames for someone to call you. Now, I don't like that because it kind of comes off as too salesy for me, and also puts pressure on, like, I don't really want to be approached by someone saying, I want to talk to you in person, because people's time is very valuable. So, but let them know how they can reach you if they want to, for sure. And you can also put if you want, you can put your phone number on LinkedIn. I don't, but if you wanted to, you could. I put my email on there though, for sure. Also, Alec wanted to know how to use LinkedIn without a premium account. I don't have a premium account. I have never had a premium account. I do have now over 16,000 connections that I have accumulated without having a premium account. So obviously you can have a big network without a premium account. If you want a premium account, it can benefit you because you have a certain number of emails that you can send to people without knowing, if they're third connections. The way that LinkedIn works is that you are either people are within your network, and those are number one by their thing, or there might be second connections, right? You're one removed. But with a premium account, you can reach the third connections where you don't have anybody in common. So, but there are other ways to reach those people, and one of those ways is through joining groups, and you can send messages to people if you share a group together, and there's other ways to find people without premium account. Someone asked me what was the biggest mistake that people make on LinkedIn, and my honest opinion is the biggest mistake is that people are not on it. They have an account, but they have no connections at all, or they don't spend any time on it at all. Like months will go by and they never check it. So not being active on it is the biggest mistake. Or having no account at all is a huge mistake, because to be honest, when I get a new recruiting client, the first thing I do after I find out like what they're looking for is I go on LinkedIn and try and find people to suit that. I have a whole file cabinet in my garage, lateral file cabinet full of resumes, but I don't go there first. I always go to LinkedIn first. So if you're not on it, you're doing yourself a great disservice. So having no account is the worst mistake you can make. So a lot of people use LinkedIn just to find jobs, and there's a jobs page, and you can click on that and fill in your career interests and be notified of job alerts, and that's really a great way to use LinkedIn as well. I also know a lot of people who post jobs on LinkedIn, so you want to make sure that you toggle on your profile to let recruiters know that you're open to new opportunities if you're in the job market. And one of the things that you want to do is diversify where you are applying. Those easy apply jobs often get a lot of job applications. So you want to be more proactive and reach out to those companies that you want to work for. And whether or not they have anything posted, but you want to start making those connections early on so that you're ready and having a relationship already, because as we know, most job openings are filled by people referring people. So the bigger your network, the more likelihood is that you'll get a job fast. So another question that was asked was, does the number of connections matter, or should I really key in on key people? Well, it's more appealing if you have more than 500 connections, because it's more likely that people will want to connect with you. However, also, you don't know like who is a key person. Years ago, I was at a portfolio show at CalArt, and I met Jorge Gutierrez, who was just graduating from CalArts, and he had a wonderful portfolio, and super talented guy. I really liked him, but he was just a student, really. I mean, no work yet. However, you never know who is going to be a key person in the industry. So reach out to all kinds of people. That's my opinion. You don't necessarily need to only connect with those high up level people. So just a few books that I want to mention. One of them is called Leveraging LinkedIn for Job Search Success, which was published in 2015, and it's written by Fred Kuhn and Susan Behrens. That's C-O-O-N. And then the other one is this lovely Job Searching with Social Media for Dummies by Joshua Waldman. A really good one. So I'm open to questions, and if I don't get to your questions, you can email me at pamrecruit87@gmail. Also, if you want personalized coaching on LinkedIn or other career-related stuff, you can contact me for that. And here again is my pamrecruit87@gmail.com. So I'm open to all kinds of questions now. And anyone, I know that was a lot, and I went really fast, so anybody have a question, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, we have a bunch of questions in the Q&A, but first I want to go into this one from the chat where this person says that they always hesitate to post on LinkedIn because they feel like they're supposed to post serious things, but they like to draw caricatures and comic strips and animation, and they're worried that doesn't feel like a professional post.
Well, if you're an animator or a cartoonist, that's a professional. I mean, that's a profession. It's a professional post. You should be posting your artwork on LinkedIn. And yes, don't let the world see what greatness that you have to offer, what your creations are. No, yes, you should be posting that. Don't hesitate about posting that kind of stuff. If you're an artist, you want to share it. Whatever you're creating.
In a similar vein, we have another question from someone who's asking if a caricature for their profile picture is unprofessional.
If you're an artist, it's okay. I mean, have something there. If you have a caricature of yourself. I've seen that a lot on LinkedIn. So if you prefer that over a photo, go for it. It's expressing you, right? So it has to be, you have to be genuine on it. So whatever works for you.
This next question is asking, in addition to everything you just mentioned, what other kinds of things do you recommend posting on LinkedIn? They usually use it as a site that doubles for their resume and a place to find contacts.
Yeah, you can post post artwork, post articles. You can share articles and make a little comment about them. That's what a friend of mine does. He's a political commentator, so he will post an article of some kind of thing that has to do with economics or whatever, and then he'll have some little comment on it underneath. So you don't have to create your own articles on LinkedIn. You can also share articles and make commentary on it. So like, I mean, if you had found something online about, well, for example, the CTN stuff, right? I mean, I just posted on LinkedIn myself a link to the CTN-Live Expo to make sure that people knew about it. So that kind of thing.
This next person's wondering, what do you do when you have 0 connections on LinkedIn?
You start with somebody, somebody in the world, somebody you went to school with, relatives, whatever, someone. And you also can use the search bar and pick a company that you want to make connections with, and like whatever company, and just type that in the search bar, and then people will come up with that that company if they have it in their profile, and you can just reach out and ask them to connect. You have to start somewhere, right? Teachers, teachers that you want to, your professors if you were a student, other people that you went to class with. Just like if you were doing a networking event, you start with whoever's near you.
This next person's asking, is it a good idea to reach out occasionally to your contacts just to keep in touch?
Oh, yes. It is a good idea. I mean, if you have new work to show, for example, or I mean, I have a friend who's a photographer, so he'll send out the old school. I mean, he'll even do like a snail mail of postcards of his work to people. But yes, always a good idea to keep that network going, keep it fresh. Also find out, when you reach out to your people online, find out how you might be able to help them, right? I mean, if there's anything that anybody needs, I mean, you might have a connection that's perfect for somebody. Also, that's one reason to make connections with other people that do the same thing that you do, in case you are booked and you get contacted by a recruiter, or you hear about a job from someone and you can't take it, right? But another person who does exactly what you do and that you can recommend. Well, that's a great thing to be able to do, both for your friend that you have, but also for whoever's looking for that position to be filled. So make friends with people that do the same thing that you do.
This next person's wondering, if you get a request from someone that's not in your industry, but someone like a family member, should you still connect with them? They're worried it might become too much like Facebook.
You can, sure. I'm kind of an open connector, so I'm connected to my sister on LinkedIn, and she's a horse person, and I recently written a children's book about horses, so I connected to a few other equine people that I don't know. She's also selling Appaloosa Foundation Appaloosas. I'm also connecting with people to find out if they're interested in buying some of her horses. So yeah, I'm more of an open connector, but yeah, it's up to you. If there are some people on LinkedIn who want to only connect with people that they've met in person, and that's okay too. I mean, it's up to you, however you want to use it. I like to connect with anybody because of what I do. My whole life kind of is about collecting people and making connections. So I have used LinkedIn, I mean, because I'm a writer, so there's all kinds of different people with different stories. So I might be connected to, depending upon what the article is, I need to know people who might work in different industries other than animation. But if you just want to keep it only in the animation field, you can do that. I mean, it's up to you.
This next person says that they've reached out to recruiters in the past, but none have really replied to them, and LinkedIn doesn't allow follow-up. How do you recommend that they stand out when they message recruiters so that they get noticed?
One of the things, sometimes some recruiters, and I've reached out to recruiters too, some recruiters do not respond very well on LinkedIn invitations, and I still have pending next to them. When I look them up, they still haven't accepted me. It's okay. So you just have to move on to other, there's lots of recruiters to connect with. And you can also try connecting to the company founders. Connect to people who are the production designers or the art directors or the animation directors or, a concept artist or someone at the company. It may not necessarily be, connecting with a recruiter, but, at some point that they might open up their LinkedIn and start connecting with people. Who knows? So sometimes it takes a long time to get connected with people. Not everybody's, super responsive, and they're not always on LinkedIn either. They have a lot of other things that they're doing sometimes, so you don't really know what's going on with them. So don't give up. And one of the ways to stand out is to have some samples on your LinkedIn profile that are really great work. And yeah, and use that background banner to stand out too. A lot of people just use that blank, make sure that there's something there.
Oh yeah, that's some really good advice. This next person's asking, how often should they post portfolio work, or how often should they upgrade their portfolio? Is it possible to post too much too fast?
Well, I think that Paul, the man I mentioned, I don't know how often he posts. It's probably at least once a week. It may be even once a day. I don't know how often he posts fantastic stuff. And if you have stuff that you want to share, make sure it's great. And then like once a day or once a week, whatever is best for you. Don't post more. I would probably not post more than once a day, just to let the algorithm catch up. But the more you post, obviously, the more the LinkedIn algorithms, I don't know how they work exactly, but they probably you'll move up in the search rankings and stuff like that. But make sure that you tag those posts as well when you're posting.
We just got a question in the chat that's asking, how can you stand out on LinkedIn if you're looking for work as a production assistant?
If you've done any work in the past working with teams, productionists, or if you've done any kind of work with production assistants at all, if you've had an internship, that may include that. Make sure that you have whatever the production assistant job description is asking for. If there's certain software that they're using, put that in, make sure that you mention that in your LinkedIn profile so that you stand out. Have production assistant as your headline underneath your name, and mention production assistant a bunch in your little bio that you might that you're going to write up, so that the keywords pop up when people are searching for production assistant.
We're getting a lot of questions asking for some general advice you might have for either students or people who have never worked in the animation industry. What should they do on LinkedIn to get noticed?
So one of the things you can do is list the classes that you've taken. If you're a student, like figure drawing, perspective, whatever the classes are. Mention the school that you're going to. Make sure that you mention the words, an aspiring animator or aspiring storyboard artist, or a student studying concept art, whatever keywords that you want to be associated with. Did I answer the question?
I think so.
I hope so. Okay.
We have a couple questions about managing your LinkedIn page and making it look the best it possibly can. The first one being, is it better to have your most recent work at the top of your page or the most relevant work at the top of your page?
I think I would like to see your most recent work because it's probably your best. Hopefully you're improving every single day. It was interesting, Nick Gregory yesterday, he was talking about painting plein air over the course of 30 days. And he made 100 paintings during that time. And he said that after 10 days, he could see visually, he could look at his work and see that it was better already. So hopefully you're improving every single day and you're working at it every single day. And so I think that your most recent work is probably also your most relevant. And it's probably, I have a funny story about posting work or having work in a portfolio. When I was before I was a recruiter, I was a manager of an art department at a video game company called Virgin Games. And there was a man that came to apply, and he was 40 years old, so he was an older, for the video game industry, he was an older guy. And good animator, solid work, but he had in his portfolio, so all the guys, we had portfolio reviews and everybody's flipping through the work, and during the lunchtime is what we did. And then they glommed onto a piece that was in his book. And I managed to wrestle it away from people and hid it behind my back and said, move on. Well, this piece happened to be a piece that he had done when he was 12 years old that had won awards, but it did not belong in his portfolio now. So most relevant is probably most recent. Keep it, read out, put that piece that won the award up on your mantle, but don't keep it in your portfolio. Okay.
This next question is coming from a freelance artist who says they want to add all of their freelance gigs to their LinkedIn page, but if they add them all as separate jobs, they worry that it might make their page look a little too messy. Do you have any advice for them? Oh,
under free, you can just say freelance and then list your clients. That would be an easy way to do it. Probably with just a bullet points down. Just say freelance, or just list them in a paragraph, whatever the different things are. That would be probably the best.
Cool. That's actually really good to know. This next person's wondering, is it okay to post things like fan art or sketches or works in progress? Or should they only post final clean art on their LinkedIn page?
Well, if you were looking at that yourself, what is your opinion of that person? It's sort of like submitting a portfolio to somebody. Would you submit unfinished work for a job application? Because that's basically what you're doing here on LinkedIn, is you're opening yourself up to the world and showing what you do. So if it's work that's not quite ready for revealing, I wouldn't post it. I mean, personally, I mean, I would rather have a more polished piece than having something that's unfinished. I mean, sketches, yes, that's different. Like a quick gesture sketches or something like that, that's fine. But if it's like an unfinished, I don't know, computer generated piece that's not rendered yet or whatever, you know, that looks muddy, or I wouldn't post it. I would post only your best stuff, the stuff that you're proudest of. I mean, you have limited space. The person is going to be judging you based on whatever they see. Just like that 40-year-old portfolio that I was talking about, the portfolio of the 40-year-old guy, you're always judged on your weakest piece. So make sure that all your pieces are as strong as you can make them.
Now, this next person's asking for clarification that just to be clear, it's okay to fill their LinkedIn with their personal work as if it were a portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, if you have personal work, it's important to have personal work, I think. I mean, we all like looking at that stuff. You know, you're not, you're not just, you know, boxed in that way. I feel like you should be able to express more of what you are. Like, so Paul, the guy that I was referring to earlier, he his work that he posts is personal. It's not a necessarily commissioned work, or it's not for a company, but it shows what he's working on, and it's lovely. It's really, really great. So yeah, don't hold back necessarily. You know, if you're willing to share it with people, but know that it's going to be out there. So and there's going to be people who like it, and there's going to be the haters, and try not to listen to the haters, okay? You know, because your stuff is probably not going to appeal to everybody, no matter what. I can tell you that there was a gentleman who applied for a job at The Simpsons, and you probably know Mr. Quackenbush, but his work did not fit with The Simpsons, and they were making fun of it. But he went on, obviously, to better other things. So not everybody's going to love your stuff.
This next person says that they've been told that when they reach out to professionals, they should end their message with how they can be of service to them. But they're having trouble figuring out what they can do or what they can say because they lack any sort of experience to service them. What should they do in that scenario?
Well, what kind of service do you want to offer them? What do you want to offer? Let's say that you don't have any experience yet, but you've taken classes in storyboard. Let's use that as an example. So you can say, you know, I can offer my services as a storyboard artist to your commercial production house, or whatever productions, right? Everybody has something, a special gift inside them, and it's up to them to find it and to nurture it and to share it. And not everybody's going to need it, but you need to try and find the people who do need it. I know that that sounds kind of philosophical and stuff, but there is a match for you somewhere out there. And there's a lot of opportunity, especially now all over the world. I mean, used to be just a very, very few outlets for animation, but it has boomed and grown and blossomed, and it's amazing. All the different places that people can find work. Not only, I mean, there's like games and, I mean, it's just like everywhere. So don't give up and just keep at it. You know, just keep trying to find that open door, because there is going to be an open door for you. And even if it's doing your own work, like Chris yesterday was, you know, he's an independent animator person, and you know, there's people who need illustration, whatever your skill set is that you can offer, you know, offer it to people.
That's really useful. You know,
Thank you.
I guess it's like you're just, because someone else is asking something similar, like how do you prove yourself as being mutually useful? And you want to offer your skills.
Yeah, well, here's an example. So yesterday, I think it was Nick Gregory, he was talking about how working on the Cintiq was affecting him in his shoulders and stuff. And a lot of animators have issues with shoulders and neck and carpal tunnel and things like that. So if you, maybe you have a friend who's a great masseuse, right? You can recommend that masseuse, you know, to people. That's a referral. Or maybe you find out that someone has a, you know, maybe an animation director you want to work with, you know, is a big dog lover, and you happen to know a great veterinarian. You know, that's a need that director has, because they have dogs, right? They're going to need a great veterinarian. So there's all kinds of ways of offering help to people in other things, right? You know, because we all have lives outside of work, and you might be a resource for somebody. You know, I get a lot of requests from people asking about an entertainment attorney, and I always refer them to my friend Harriet Beck. Because you want to be a connector with people and help them find a resource that they need. So think kind of outside the box of like just work, but there might be other things that you can help them with. So that's part of networking and being of mutual benefit. And you can do that right away, right? There's probably somebody that you know that's you know, a good resource for other people.
We have a question here from someone who might be a little confused about how to use LinkedIn. They say they're still trying to understand how it all works. They're asking, how do you contact someone through LinkedIn? Is it like emailing them?
So on LinkedIn, there's you can search for people's names. Let's say everyone should connect with, okay, first start with me. Everyone can at least have one connection after this talk, myself, right? And possibly Matt might be willing to connect with people as well, the voice that you hear. And Tina Price. So you have 3 there that you possibly can connect to, but at least with me, I will accept you for sure. So connect with me on LinkedIn. You look for me, you click on me, and you send me a note, or you just say, you know, you can do an automatic without a note, but I always like to add a note in there about, you know, like to connect with you on LinkedIn, saw you on CTN, whatever. And I will accept your connection. So you can start with that. So at least you'll have one. But yeah, that's really easy. I mean, you just find someone, anyone. There's a lot of people talking during CTN. Stephen Reese was just on. I think that was his name. And he was saying, connect with him on LinkedIn, which I will, right? Stephen Weiss. Yeah. So connect with the people that are speaking. I mean, there's a lot of presenters at CTN. You can start with those guys' names and find them on LinkedIn and connect with them. Yeah, start with other people, that are, attending. Start with those guys. You'll have a huge network in no time. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to be seeing a couple requests immediately. We have a question from someone who lives outside of the U.S., who English is not their primary language, but of course they can speak English.
Right.
What language should they use when they post things to LinkedIn?
Well, I'm connected to some people who are not English speakers, and I can do a translation of their stuff. But overall, if you are able to communicate in English, it's probably the favored language on LinkedIn. Overall, I think. When I look at most posts, I think it's probably the most common language on LinkedIn.
What about someone who's like, they obviously have a career, but they're not in the animation industry, but they want to break into the animation industry? On their LinkedIn page, should they have their current job, or should they have the job that they're trying to go for?
Well, on their headline, like right underneath their name, they should put the job that they want to go for, I think. That's what I would do. And then under their resume section, the experience section, they can have what they've done, but they should have something in their bio about transitioning to the animation industry. I mentioned the animation industry a bunch of times, right? Or visual effects, or whatever you want to call, games or whatever the keywords are that you think somebody will be using.
Someone's asking, how would you compare LinkedIn versus more casual social media like Twitter or Instagram?
LinkedIn is for a professional platform. So you want to be a little tiny bit more formal on it than you might be on, let's say, Facebook, where you're going to post photos of your, as I said before, you're not going to necessarily post photos of your dinner on LinkedIn unless you are a caterer or a professional chef. And in that case, yes, because that's your work. However, on the other platforms, it's a little bit more. Well, with Twitter, it's a little bit more restricted because you have a certain number of characters that you can use only, and with Facebook, it's like more like a backyard barbecue kind of thing, and this is more like a meeting at work, right, over the water cooler is LinkedIn. So a work relationship rather than a neighbor, friends kind of relationship. They're both good, but yeah, for different uses, I guess.
So let's say you've worked on your LinkedIn, you've got it all set up, you've made connections. This next person wants to know, what's the best way to cultivate your network now that you've connected with people? How do you keep track of them and follow up with them?
Well, you can You can send them messages via LinkedIn or via email because you'll have access to their contact info. Send them updates of what you're doing, ask them how they're doing. The holidays are coming up. It's a good time to do some kind of clever card that you could send out via LinkedIn or via email. I get some cards from some of the animators I'm connected to every year. A guy who used to work at Fox Animation sends me something. And yeah, just message people, whoever you want to talk to. It's hard when you get a lot of contacts, obviously, but if there's certain one of the things that some people post is like their birthday, and you can have a birthday alert, so you can wish people happy birthday. If you find out like they have work anniversaries, and you can send messages about their work anniversaries, that kind of stuff. Send them something that would make them laugh or whatever.
Oh, this is great. We already have a lot of people exchanging LinkedIn's in the.
Yeah, that's good. I see that now. The chat, that's great. I'll be like saving that chat at the end, so keep it coming. Okay.
So this next person wants to know, after you have applied for a job, should you then message a recruiter and let them know, or should you follow up in some sort of way like that?
Yeah, you can follow up with the recruiter about if you've already applied for the job. They're probably aware that, hopefully they're aware that you've applied. And you can also follow up with people who might be people you would report to. Like, let's say you're applying for a concept artist job. So the production designer or the art director might be a person that you'd want to follow up with. Yeah. It's always a good idea to follow up.
This next person's wondering, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just quickly, there was a woman who applied for a job at The Simpsons, and well, she kept sending us stuff for over I think it was a 6-week period of time. Every week, something came in the mail, and finally, I think she sent some cookies or something like that I was able to carry into the producer's office and say, we need to hire another person in the production office. Can we please hire this PA? And yeah, Bev Chapman, she started as a production assistant, and then became a prop designer. And so persistence sometimes is necessary in order to get the job. And a lot of times people who are worried about being too persistent are those exact people who really don't have an issue of being a stalker type person. And the people who have no clue that they're being too persistent are the ones that have an issue with it. So if you're thinking that you're being too persistent and following up too much, you probably aren't. But one thing is to keep track of when you apply for a job, so that you're not, you might think, oh, so much time has gone by, but you've really only applied for it last Friday, and today is only Tuesday. So you'll have to wait for a few more days before you follow up and make sure that they have received and start processing your application. So
that's really cool to know. Like, if you were worried you might be too persistent, or you're worried you might be too humble with your titles, you're most likely not.
Most likely not, because the mere fact that you're aware of it, you probably aren't. Yeah.
This next person wants to know if you might know of any part-time or assistant roles that are a good way to break into the animation industry. They haven't really heard too many about that.
Yeah. One of the things that you'll want to do is Google. You can do a Google search and all kinds of things come up. I was just looking yesterday, I think, for internship type of jobs and things like that. They're often part-time. And also, approach independent animators. There's some independent animators that might be, able to bring you on even easier than, especially if you're willing to be a part-time person, than some larger companies. So look for smaller shops too to break in. A lot of times people are just focused on the Pixars, the Disneys, the DreamWorks of the world, but there are so many opportunities out there. Back in the day, it used to be that, you'd have to have this huge computer to be able to do computer animation and, whole disk arrays of stuff to be able to render stuff. And now it's amazing what just, with my new computer that I got a couple of months ago, I probably could do if I knew what the heck, how to do animation on it. So it's just gotten to be so much easier for smaller companies to do great work. So don't ignore those small companies, because sometimes they are doing great work for a large project and they happen to be getting a few scenes to do in this huge project that, so there's a lot of outsourcing being done all over the world too. So don't be afraid of applying to the smaller shops.
Yeah, a term I've heard used before is like a boutique studio.
Yes. Boutiques are great. Learned a lot at, I worked, one of my first jobs in animation was at a very small company called Moore Graphics and Film, and one of their main clients was Disney. And I learned an awful lot there. Also how not to be a boss. How not to manage people. I did the exact opposite of that individual. So yeah.
That's good. Yeah, not just learn from where people have succeeded, but where people have failed.
Yes.
We have a question from someone who's asking if you have any tips for an international artist that already has experience but wants to get a job into American animation.
Yes. Okay. One of the things is if there is there are companies that have branches internationally, right? They might have a studio in a city in Europe, or a studio in Canada, or the Philippines, or India, or wherever. And I would recommend trying to get in with one of the studios that is near where you are now, and start there, and then possibly be able to get a transfer after you've established yourself to move to the States. So that's one way to do it. And also, it's with visas and stuff like that, it's difficult. So you'll want to approach a larger studio who can sponsor you, because the boutiques probably don't have the bandwidth to do that. So you're stuck probably finding a studio that can sponsor you for visas.
This next person wants to know, is age a relevant piece of information to include on your LinkedIn page?
No, don't have to include your age. Really don't care. I really don't care what your age is, honestly. And hey, there are people that have been brought out of retirement in the past to work on animated projects. So if you're old or if you're young, it really doesn't matter. What matters is your work and your work ethic, and do you deliver the work when you say you're going to deliver it, and are you easy to get along with? Are you easy to work with? Do you take direction well? Are you flexible and adaptable to the show's look? All of those kinds of things. That's what matters. I really don't care what you look like or, anything like that.
So there's no age that's too old to enter the animation industry?
Can you hold? Yeah. I haven't really come across people who say that they won't hire somebody if they have great work. Yeah. If they're making a change from a different place, if their work is fabulous, they're gonna get hired.
Yeah, I think I've even heard not some, but a lot of stories of people who have had a completely different career and then transitioned into animation at some point.
Well, Nick Gregory was just talking about how he used to be a pro wrestler. So that's an interesting, different career to make it from a transition to animation. So, yeah. And I know Tina used to be a dancer.
That's right. Yeah, she's
Tina
told me she
Price.
was a ballet dancer. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about movement, right?
This next person wants to know, should you include a PDF of your resume on your LinkedIn?
Yes, that would be good to do. A downloadable PDF would be great. Any links that you have also that you put up on LinkedIn or on your website, make sure that they work. Anything that you post, make sure that the links go to where they're supposed to go. Yeah.
This next person wants to know, do you use a CRM system or Excel spreadsheet to keep track of all your connections?
No, I'm actually using LinkedIn to keep track of a lot of my connections. It's like a giant Rolodex. It's really great. Yeah. So I do. I have looked into using the CRM, but I haven't yet.
It's like a digital Rolodex.
Yeah.
Limitless space. Does including a portfolio website link to your LinkedIn page really matter?
Well, if you want to share your work, I mean, it helps if you want to share your work and let it be seen by people. Yes, I would share a link to your portfolio on your, why not do that? Because otherwise, so you have extra steps. You want to make it really easy for recruiters or hiring managers or employers to find you and to find out what you do. And so if you have sample work, they don't have to contact you to ask you to send them the link. And then also people often protect their portfolio with a password. So then you have to contact the people to get a password, to get access. It's just extra steps. And a lot of times what will happen is when someone's really busy and trying to get to a lot of applicants all at once, you might be falling through the cracks, and you're putting up roadblocks, right? You're putting up obstacles for someone to have to hire you, and you don't want to do that. You want to make it as smooth a road as possible. You don't want to have all these bumps along the road to get you in there. So why why not put up your portfolio right there where people can find it and to see it? Remove the roadblocks. Make it easy.
Pamela,
Don't
I'm
make
sorry.
people struggle.
I'm sorry I had you stay a little overtime, but I just really felt like this was incredibly
Oh.
valuable information.
Oh, I didn't even know. Sorry. I didn't even look.
Yeah, this was so useful. I for one, am going to go home and boost up my LinkedIn page, put a profile picture in there finally.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. I know one of my recruiting friends says that she doesn't connect with people that don't have a profile picture. I was like, oh, really? Okay. So yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, I get it. It's almost like getting like a call from like an unlisted caller. Like, I don't want to pick that up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I guess so. Right. And they always call you during dinner time too, right? So well,
before I let you go, I just want to ask you one more time, where can people find your contact information?
oh yes, here's my thank you. If you want more instruction on here's pamrecruit87@gmail.com. And you can also find me. I'm like LinkedIn, Pamela Thompson, or Pamela Claibrink Thompson. KLEIBRINK is my maiden name. And yeah, they can find me that way. And yeah, if they want individualized help with LinkedIn or any other career stuff, I also do coaching. So they can also approach me about that as well. So yeah, it's been really fun, Matt. Thank you so much for fielding all the questions. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one last thing. I saw it in the chat. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Oh, yes, here it is. Not a question, but someone wanted to say you're a wonderful speaker and that you're their favorite they've attended so far.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm also going to do a short plug then for Toastmasters. It's been really helpful to me, and I really think that people can get a lot out of being in Toastmasters as well. And we have a meeting in Meridian. If you look up Meridian, Idaho Toastmasters, you can come and visit us at 6:30 on Thursdays in Mountain Time. So yeah. That's another thing that you can get involved with if you like.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for coming. Thank you, everyone, for all your fantastic questions. We hope to see you on LinkedIn.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing everybody on LinkedIn. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you guys. And enjoy the rest of CTN-Live. It's a really amazing thing that Tina is, and Matt and everybody else is doing there. So really appreciate being a part of this. And I could like talk about LinkedIn for years, so for only an hour. So
we'll have to have you back again for some more LinkedIn goodness then.
Yeah, thank you.
Right,
Thank you very
so
much. Thank you. I'm saving the chat. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, everyone.